The Apology by Tertullian. Chapter 1. Leaders of the Roman Empire, if you're sitting on your high bench to administer justice, with everyone watching and you hold almost the highest position in the state, you might not be able to openly investigate the real truth about the accusations against Christians. If, in this case alone, you're afraid or embarrassed to use your authority to make a public inquiry with the care that justice demands. If the harsh punishments recently inflicted on our people in private judgments prevent us from defending ourselves before you, surely you can't stop the truth from reaching your ears through the quiet path of a book. Truth doesn't need to appeal to you about her condition because she's not surprised by it. She knows she's just a temporary resident on earth and that among strangers she naturally finds enemies. More than that, her origin, her home, her hope, her reward, her honors are above. Meanwhile, she only asks one thing from earthly rulers, not to be condemned without being known. What harm can it do to the laws, which are supreme in their domain, to give her a hearing? In fact, wouldn't their absolute supremacy be even more evident if they condemn her after she's made her case? But if she's sentenced without being heard, besides the shame of an unjust act, you'll face the deserved suspicion of doing it with the idea that it might be unjust, as you don't want to hear what you might not be able to hear and condemn. We present this as the first reason why your hatred of the name Christian is unjust. And the very reason that seems to excuse this injustice, I mean ignorance, actually makes it worse and proves it. For what is more unfair than hating something you know nothing about, even if it deserves to be hated? Hatred is only justified when it's known to be deserved. But without that knowledge, how can its justice be proven? It must be proven not just because an aversion exists, but through understanding the subject. When people dislike something simply because they don't understand it, why might it not be exactly the thing they shouldn't dislike? So we argue that they are both ignorant while they hate us and hate us unjustly while they remain ignorant, with one thing leading to the other. The proof of their ignorance, which both condemns and excuses their injustice, is that those who once hated Christianity because they knew nothing about it, as soon as they learn about it, they immediately drop their hostility. From being its haters, they become its followers. By simply getting to know it, they start to hate what they used to be, and to embrace what they used to hate, and their numbers are as large as are, claimed against us. The complaint is that the state is filled with Christians, that they are in the fields, in the fortresses, on the islands. They lament, as if it's some disaster, that both genders, every age and condition, even those of high rank, are converting to Christianity. And yet, for all this, their minds aren't awakened to the thought that there might be some good they've missed. They must not allow any true suspicions to cross their minds. They have no desire to investigate further. Here alone, human curiosity sleeps. They prefer to remain ignorant, though for others knowledge has been bliss. Anacharsis criticized the unrefined for daring to critique the cultured. How much more might he have condemned this judging by those who know nothing? Because they already dislike, they don't want to know more. Thus they prejudge what they are ignorant of to be such that if they came to know it, it could no longer be the object of their aversion, since if inquiry finds nothing worthy of dislike, it's certainly right to stop an unjust dislike, while if its bad character becomes clear, instead of reducing the detestation for it, a stronger reason for continuing that detestation is obtained, even under the authority of justice itself. But someone might say a thing isn't good just because many people go over to it. For how many are naturally inclined towards what's bad? How many stray into paths of error? That's true. Yet a thing that's completely evil, not even those it attracts dare to defend as good. Nature hides all evil with a veil of either fear or shame. For example, you find that criminals are eager to hide, avoid appearing in public, are anxious when caught, deny their guilt when accused. Even when tortured, they don't easily or always confess. When there's no doubt about their condemnation, they regret what they've done. In their self-reflections, they admit being driven by sinful urges, but they blame either fate or the stars. They're unwilling to acknowledge that the wrongdoing is theirs, because they know it's wicked. But what is there like this in the Christian's case? The only shame or regret they feel is at not having become a Christian sooner. If they're pointed out, they take pride in it. If accused, they offer no defense. When questioned, they confess willingly. When condemned, they give thanks. What kind of evil is this that lacks all the usual traits of evil? Fear, shame, deceit, remorse, lamenting. What? Is it a crime when the accused rejoices? When being accused is their eager wish, and being punished is their happiness? You can't call it madness, especially when you're proven to know nothing about it. Chapter 2. If we're supposedly the worst people ever, why do you treat us differently from other criminals? It's only fair that the same crime should get the same treatment, right? When others are accused of the same things as us, they're allowed to defend themselves either by speaking up or hiring lawyers to prove their innocence. They get a chance to respond and debate. In fact, it's against the law to condemn anyone without a defense or a hearing. But Christians aren't allowed to say anything to defend themselves or the truth, or to help the judge make a fair decision. All that matters is getting the confession of our faith, not examining the actual charges. In regular investigations, when someone confesses to murder, sacrilege, incest, or treason, crimes we're accused of, you don't just jump to sentencing. You thoroughly examine the circumstances. What really happened? How often? Where? How? When? Who knew about it and who was involved? None of this happens with us, even though the lies spread about us should be investigated to see how many children each of us supposedly harmed, how many acts of incest we supposedly committed, and who witnessed our supposed deeds. Imagine the glory for a ruler who could prove a Christian had done such terrible things. But instead, even investigating our case is forbidden. When Pliny the Younger was a governor, he condemned some Christians to death and pressured others to renounce their faith. Annoyed by how many there were, he asked Emperor Trajan what to do. He explained that apart from refusing to offer sacrifices, Christians just met early to sing hymns to Christ and God, and pledged to live faithfully, avoiding murder, adultery, dishonesty, and other crimes. Trajan replied that Christians shouldn't be actively sought out, but if brought before him, they should be punished. What a miserable contradiction. It says not to seek them out as if they're innocent, but to punish them as if they're guilty. It's both merciful and cruel. It overlooks and punishes. Why are you playing games with yourself, O judgment? If you condemn, why not investigate? If you don't investigate, why not absolve? Military forces are deployed everywhere to track down robbers. Against traitors and public enemies, everyone becomes a soldier. Even their accomplices are hunted down. But Christians aren't to be sought out, even though they can be accused before a judge. It's as if searching had any other purpose. So you condemn someone nobody wanted to search for when they're brought before you, and who doesn't deserve punishment, not because of guilt, but because